Howdy, and welcome to another edition of the Archeryshack Shop Talk podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm TJ.
And we've made it to podcast 57. Wowzers.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. We're going to talk all kind of stuff about bow hunting, bows, crossbows, whatever you want to talk about. But thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, this Thursday, if you're watching this when it comes out on Tuesday, we will be resuming our live YouTube broadcast at 6:30 on this coming Thursday. So we took a little almost month break just so we can get everybody's bows took care of and everything squared away. And now we're on the back end of our busy season, and I'm glad. Appreciate everybody's business, but for about a month every year there, it just gets almost more than we can handle. And so we're coming around the mountain.
Yeah, and this year has been so much crazier with all the COVID stuff. It really, our busy season kind of ramped up a whole lot earlier.
If you're local or semi-local, we're really looking at having our pumpkin shoot on Halloween this year, because Halloween's on a Saturday, and the way that'll probably run, there'll be more information on Facebook soon, but we'll probably run just a open registration 3D shoot from 9 a.m. until just whenever. Of course, you'll need to start shooting, about 2 hours before dark. But then at dark, for this particular shoot every year, we do something different. We put out 5 targets out here in the field with lights up under them, and we put it on a random system. I don't know how to put it. There's a video on YouTube about it, but what we do is, let's say TJ's going to shoot the course. It's black dark.
We do have the lights under the porch.
Yeah, so there's a dim light, so you can see, like, if you need to set your sight. And these are different yardages. You might have a bear, a pig, a deer. But anyway, he comes full draw, says, "I'm ready." One of the targets lights up for like 5 seconds. He has to figure out the target and shoot it. And go ahead and be reloading an arrow. It goes dark for, I think we've been doing 6 seconds or something like that.
I thought it was 3 seconds to shoot and 5 seconds to reload.
I think it was more than 3.
It might have been 5 and 6. You might be right.
It's something like that. We'll have to look back at what we did last year.
Or 5 and 5.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But anyway, you've got just enough time to get your arrow loaded and snatch that thing back, and then another target's going to light up. You got to shoot it. And anyway, out of the 5 targets, you shoot a couple rounds, and you shoot 3 arrows per end or round or whatever you want to call it. But it's different. People always love it. So if you're local, check it out. We hadn't I don't have all the details yet, but I will post them on Facebook and in the Friends of the Archeryshack Facebook page and Instagram and anything else we got. So
that's always a fun shoot every year.
Yeah, and we usually have a good crowd, and then it dwindles down to about a dozen people for that night shoot, and then people have a ball that do it. So I enjoy the night shoot more than the rest of it, but we call it a pumpkin shoot because it's always around Halloween. Yep. Usually we'll put out a pumpkin target or 2 and that sort of thing, and we got the undead Fred target we put out for that one shoot every year. Mm-hmm. So it'll be cool.
Yep, that one's always fun. And believe it or not, we've been doing that shoot how many years now? About 4?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
And we've only had 1 incident of a light getting shot.
The light went out. And the guy was, I guess, about to hit the trigger, and it was like, light out. Ding! And that's Joker. We still got the light somewhere. It dinged it, but anyway.
It did. Yeah, it just dented it, and the air is still in orbit. I
would like to get a good video of it this year. Now that we got so many cameras and stuff, it may be possible, but it's just hard because you'd have to have a camera on every target and on the shooter. But we'll see what we can do.
Here's a good question for him. I know we have talked about this many, many times. We would love to build a pop-up 3D deal. We've looked into buying. There is a system out there, but I think it was
a lot of money.
It was a lot of money, and I know you can use a garage door opener and stuff like that. But if anybody has any kind of idea, or if there's a link to like a do-it-yourself, put it in the comment, because we were.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And like 15, maybe 20 years ago now, we went to a few. There were some that would travel around, and we'd go to some, and it was always, it'll give you target panic, but it was always fun.
It was.
it would be neat to set up something, but not spend $20,000 doing it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and it ain't got to be like 20 targets. We're talking like maybe 5 at the most.
Yeah, that's how they normally do it. What I guess what I was going to talk about is people always ask us on bowstrings, do I go with brass speed knocks or do I go with the rubber
speed sleeve,
which is the Pine Ridge Nitro XL button? And we've covered this a bunch, but I swear it's one of the most asked questions I get. And I always tell people, and I think a few weeks ago we talked about it, but if it's a newer bow, like the newer Matthews, let's say in the last 3 or 4 years, the newer Hoyts in the last 3 or 4 years, they have a lot of brass knocks on them.
Yeah.
We're talking like 30 plus total on the string. I like to kind of keep that same weight on the string just to keep everything in spec and all that sort of thing. So I usually recommend on those bows, go back with brass knocks. But on bows that only have 3, 4, 5, 6 brass knocks, I feel like there may be an advantage to that rubber sleeve in that it's still a weighted thing and it's made out of rubber, so it takes out some of that string twang. So and most elite bows, actually almost every elite bow, except for a few recent ones, they came with sleeves on them.
Yeah.
And they recommended you only use sleeves on them. So it's just according to the bow. But I would, you'll end up getting a little more speed usually off of brass, but you'll end up getting less twanginess out of the rubber sleeve. But even 2 rubber sleeves on each end will not be the same weight as some of let's just say the Matthews Trax or VXR or any of them. I mean, they've got a ton.
Yeah.
Or the Hoyt RX3 or whatever, they've got a ton of brass speed knocks on each end. So I would stick with that on those.
I did know exactly how many speed knocks was on the VXR 31.5.
I'd have to look at the spec sheet.
I know that
a bunch.
The 28, I think, has a total of 28 on it.
Yeah.
And I think,
like old school, let's just say, I think the Bowtech Assassin, I'm just throwing it out there, it's got like 3 on each end. You know what I mean? A sleeve is fine.
yeah.
But, you get into your Hoyt RX 1s and 3s and 4s and, really Halon and newer Matthews, you might want to go with a brass knock. We used to actually do more sleeves than anything. Now we do a lot more knocks than anything, and that's fine. It's just people ask it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
What is your favorite lighted knock?
My favorite one probably is the nocturnal.
Yeah.
I've shot nocturnals for a long time. A close second is the Glory knock.
Yeah.
And the reason I like the Glory knock, and that's what I'm shooting now, is how easy it is to turn off. I mean, it's just super easy. They've got a YouTube video up, but it's got a little switch on the side that when you shoot, lights up. You put it back on the string, hold the switch, pull your air off, and it's off. But, by far the brightest one, nocturnal. And nocturnal, I know you can get them where they strobe. I'd like to get some of the green and blue strobes. But
I like the Glory knock, but dang it, it's hard. They keep back order. I mean, they've been out for what, 2 years now, 3 years? I don't know. But it's like the first year we were sold on them and absolutely could not find them, get them anywhere. And then, but anyway, in the shop, we float back and forth. Like this year, I've mainly stocked Glory knocks, but like 3 times there was none to be found from a distributor anywhere. So I had to order nocturnals. And I don't have a problem with either one.
I don't either.
I think nocturnals are brighter, but you got to use something to turn them off with.
Yeah.
People are kind of used to it now. And then you got the Partain that helps us. He ordered some of the Chinese knockoff ones. They were like $20 for a dozen, and we found out those are complete junk. It was I should have done a video on it.
Yeah.
He shot them a couple times, like 2 or 3 of them, and literally the knocks, the throats opened up and like would not knock on the string safely. So beware of those.
I was looking through one of my bow hunter magazines, and there's a new one out there, and I can't remember. I'm gonna go home and look at it, but supposedly they have the easy on-off switch, but it's made in America.
Gotcha. What is y'all's favorite knock? Your lighted knock? Put it in the comments. Let us know, because we're always open to. I wish there was one that we absolutely loved, that was easy to deal with and get a hold of, and all that stuff. So, we've probably over the years of being in this location went through about 4 different brands.
Yep.
And all of them are good, but I hadn't like completely fell in love with any of them.
Like I said, right now, Glory Knock and, Nocturnal. Nocturnal being probably my favorite just because it's brighter.
And they're probably the most tried and true.
Yeah.
I just hate their parent company. It's a junk company, but yeah, I mean, you can't, what do you do? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's the best going right now, so I guess you shoot it. But yeah, let us know what y'all think. Be curious to know. Be careful of the Chinese ones.
Yeah.
And the Chinese ones had like a switch on the side, like a real switch. You just, boop, boop.
Yeah.
And I was kind of iffy when he told me he'd ordered them and how they worked, but yeah, they were junk. He just shot them a few times in here and they opened up. So you'll end up blowing a bow up with those things.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
And now, like lighted knocks, you've got which one is it? The breadcrumb? That's the Bluetooth?
I hadn't heard anything about it.
I hadn't either.
It came out like 3 years ago, and that was the big opening night thing at the ATA. Oh, look at this, look at this. They were expensive, but not that expensive for what it was. I hadn't heard anything about it.
I hadn't either.
Let's talk about no-nos with a crossbow. What not to do. Had a guy bring one in that had been cocked in a closet for 4 years. It completely exploded. A couple years ago, we had a guy lose a thumb with one. Luckily, it wasn't one he bought from us. He just he came out here, I think, asking if he could sight it in out here or something. At the time, I was like, I don't really have anything that'll stop it. It'd probably blast through our bag targets. He comes back 2 weeks later with thumbed and blasted his thumb off, sticking it up above the rail by accident. Yeah. Seen a message from another shop owner, said he had a blowed up crossbow come in. A guy was in the woods, wanted to uncock it, and I guess didn't want to shoot one of his regular crossbow bolts out of it, so he stuck a stick in it that he thought would be appropriate to shoot out of it, and it exploded and hurt the guy.
Yeah.
So, all no-nos. You've got to put rail lube on the rail if it's a crossbow with a rail, which is most of them. It'll eat that center serving. We make crossbow strings, and we'll get a ton of messages. My center serving separating. Send me a picture. Have you been using rail lube? What's rail lube? Okay, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That string rubs across a bare metal rail, and if it don't have something to lubricate it, then you're in trouble. It's crossbows are going to wear a string quicker than any bow because of that. It is rubbing friction no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about a Raven or something of that caliber. It don't have the rail it's rubbing on. It's a little different situation, but it's still a lot of stuff going on for a little bitty string.
Yeah.
So you're going to end up changing them a lot quicker. You're probably not going to shoot it as much as a compound bow. And anyway, just all things to be weary about. I'm not saying don't shoot a crossbow by no means, but I just think some people don't realize how much power they have. And
always make sure that your arrow is completely seated against the center serving on the string when it's cocked.
Make sure you got the right knock for that crossbow. We've seen, I don't see it as much anymore, but there used to be some crossbows that took a flat knock, and people would take those flat knocks and try to shoot them out of a crossbow that was meant for a moon knock, and it would literally jump the crossbow bolt and explode. And had a guy call me this week, and he said, man, I got to burn that crossbow. I forget what all happened, but it blew up. He said he didn't buy it here, and we've never met the guy before, but he's wanting to know if we could fix it. And I was like, well, tell me what I was wrong with it. And as he went through his list, I'm like, listen, you're going to have to go direct with Barnett or get a replacement or something, because this thing sounds like it's shattered.
Yeah.
But anyway, crossbows are a different beast.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be super careful. Just almost treat it like a gun, you know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much.
Keep your safety on. Don't leave it cocked. Obviously leave it cocked while you're hunting, but don't leave it cocked. Don't leave it in a hot car cocked. A couple years ago, we had a guy left one cocked in his hot truck, and it literally tore his truck up because it exploded.
Yeah.
He said it sounded like a bomb went off one evening, and if he would have been in there, he'd have got hurt. I mean, it broke a limb. It even cracked the stock. I mean, it was bad.
Oh yeah, it really did a number.
Anyway, so they're powerful. Be careful. Make sure you use rail lube. Make sure you use the proper bolt, the proper knock, all that stuff.
And also keep your stringing cables waxed real good on those.
And if you start to see a problem with stringing cables, for example, yesterday a guy come in and his center serving had started to unravel, and 10 more shots and it would have cut into the string, but he caught it just in the nick of time. You know, we take it back there, take the string off. In 10 minutes, I've got a new center serving on it. He's good to go. But a lot of people don't catch it that quick. They'll just keep on shooting it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to at least have to have a new string, and sometimes more than that, or sometimes it breaks. But be careful. Be careful.
Yeah, be careful.
Let's see. Let's talk about Bloodline material. People keep asking me because we got a good selection of Bloodline VEC 99 in. Do we like it? Do we hate it? I am on the fence. I kind of like the theory of no wax because it don't change the single strand diameter as much. You know, for example, we get in our normal material, and like a flow orange is the worst. It'll be huge. It'll be a very big difference if we build a 28 strand flow orange string and we built a black 28 strand string out of the same material. I mean, pretty big difference, and I don't like that. It's not as bad with this Bloodline. Me and TJ hadn't put it on our personal bows yet. We've put it on a few people's we know. I mean, the material's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not sold 100% on it. The colors are a little wonky. When our order came in, the black looks more like what we'd normally call gunmetal. It's more of a gray color.
It's got almost like a silver pinstripe almost, or a silver speckled in it.
I think that's just where the Vectran is in it, and it didn't take the colors the same as the Dyneema and all this. And I understand all that, and that's no big problem. But people keep on sending me messages, and I'm like, be happy to build you a set. There's going to be absolutely no problems with it. I'm just not personally sold on it yet completely. And I may end up putting a set on one of my personal bows that I shoot a lot and trying it out. And I mean, from what we've seen on others that we know, there's no problem with it. It's just the colors are a little different.
Now, when we say the colors, like your flow orange is still, I mean, it's a good flow orange color.
I love their green. Their green pops real good.
And it's more of what you want to call an emerald green. It's not really like a regular green as we would see in the
baby blue is kind of weird. It's like it's got two colors in it. I wasn't a huge fan. I was hoping it was going to be more of an electric-y blue. And like I say, the black really threw me off because it's like a gray color. I don't really like that. People, we've shipped them to people and they've been like, "Hey, you've used the wrong color," and we're like, "Nice, they're black," So
now they're green and brown or tan. I can't remember how they named theirs on theirs, but those earth tone colors, they actually look pretty good together.
Yeah. But so good material. We've sold a decent amount of it, I guess. I mean, not a ton. Definitely not a ton compared to our normal stuff, which is BCYX 99.
Yeah, but we don't have any feedback on our bows
yet. We hadn't shot it, so definitely if you want to play with it. I mean, like I say, it's not like it's going. You're not going to have any trouble out of it by no means. It's a good material. It's just different.
Yeah, it's different, all right. Especially on layout and serve.
Yeah, it's real slick. So it makes me wonder, is the serving gripping as good with that real slickness? And, laying it out on our jig, it's a metal post and it slides off easy, and it's a pretty big pain in the ass for us, but it's not a huge deal if it turns out to be a great thing. Yeah. But anyway, so that's our thoughts on it, So advice for a youth bow hunter setup. I've been getting this a lot, like what poundage does my kid need to draw, what arrow weight, draw length, the whole nine, what broadhead, the whole 9 yards. In South Carolina, we don't have anything that says you got to shoot 45 pounds or nothing. It's just you roll with it. I know some states say, you got to shoot this much poundage, or you got to do this, you got to do that. We're not one of those states, so I can't go there. But, I was shooting a Browning Micro Midas when I shot my first deer with a bow, and it was on 35 pounds, and I shot the deer at 38 yards, complete pass-through. It was a doe, and it ran 60 yards maybe. but I didn't shoot it in the shoulder.
Yeah.
I made a good shot. It was a fixed blade broadhead. It was a Muzzy back then. And that was an old bow, you know what I mean? A first edition Micro Midas.
Yeah.
So I usually tell people, if you're around that 40-pound mark, I wouldn't advise shooting one at 38 yards. I just happened to do it that day, and I was by myself, and my dad was, you know, he done told me, do not shoot that deer. And I was like, this thing ain't getting no closer. I'm going to let it eat. And it worked for me that day. But, you know, I usually tell people around 40 pounds, probably start out with a little fixed blade.
Yep.
And make sure, of course, they can keep a good group.
Yeah.
And try to keep them at 20, 25 yards. That would be my advice, although you could by far shoot further than that. But, you know, and then you can get into, like, I remember my dad's, one of his first bows was, we still got it in here, it was literally shooting 170 feet per second. You know, these kids' bows are going to be shooting that or maybe even faster.
Yeah.
And we're talking about what everybody was hunting with in the 80s and early 90s and type of thing. So that's just my advice. Maybe stick to a fixed blade. Keep it 40 pounds-ish or more, you know, and the draw length's going to be short. You're going to be low 20s in the draw length.
Yeah.
And, you know, and obviously it's just according to the kid, if the arrow is just dropping out of the sky, you're going to make it like a 15, 20-yard shot. But if they got a little more oomph behind it, it's just case-by-case basis, I guess I'm saying. Yeah,
the biggest thing is pretty much make sure you got to pretty much run a fixed blade.
Yeah,
broadhead.
And the reason mechanicals take a little more energy to pretty much open the blade. You don't want to waste energy opening a blade versus going into the deer. I guess it's the simplest, most way I can put it. And, you know, like Grim Reaper, I know they say you can shoot them at a low poundage, and I'm sure people have, and I'm sure you can tell me in the comments all these stories and stuff, but
I know Rage, they have some low poundage ones.
I would feel comfortable with a kid shooting like a QAD Exodus.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind if the diameter is smaller. I don't want them shooting like a 2-inch cut broadhead because I know that's going to.
Yeah.
I'd rather it pass through and be a smaller cut than anything else. So that's just my 2 cents. I don't know the answer to this question, but what is your favorite camo pattern right now?
Oh, Lord.
I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I've always liked Realtree.
That's a hard one.
I really like the True Timber stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if I had to pick one right now, it would probably be a True Timber pattern for a couple reasons. But then, like, man, I don't know. Like, that Kuyu, like that bow come in the other day. And I was like, man, this is sharp. Now, I mean, it don't necessarily blend in perfectly with our stuff, but it looks cool. And I've always liked ASAT camo. That just looks cool, you know what I mean? And it works. But I'd probably go True Timber. I don't know which pattern of theirs, but one of their patterns probably.
I mean, you know, pretty much you either, you know, here in South Carolina, and I'm going to say the South, you know, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Alabama, you know, just you pretty much going to be a Realtree or Mossy Oak kind of person.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it's always been.
And I never got into that. Like, I like them both. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when Realtree was kind of, to me, the first that I wore. And then when Mossy Oak really started catching up, I had both, and I like both. And, like, I don't have an argument. I know one guy, he actually lives not far from here. He would, like, fight you if you said Realtree's better than Mossy Oak because he is Mossy Oak 110%. But I'm not that way. But, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I kind of like the fusion pattern from First Light.
Yeah.
You know, I think, where we hunt at, you know, I kind of think that pattern worked real good. I haven't really got into the whole Sitka, you know, I guess what would you call it, the digital pattern?
Well, but the thing with like all that Sitka stuff, and I may just sound cheap here, but I'm not paying that kind of price. If I was going into a mountain, up a mountain where I really needed to not freeze to death, literally, I would probably fork out some money. But around here, it don't get that cold and it's fairly hot. But luckily, it's not that hot right now.
Yeah.
You know, I just can't. I know that's the thing and all right now, but I just can't fork out that money.
I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. I'm still wearing camouflage
Me too.
I think I've got freaking Max 4 HD. It's a duck hunting camo that I wear in a pair of pants.
Yep.
I've had for probably 6 or 7 years now.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, people have been killing deer in red and black flannel shirts and blue jeans and overalls before all the camo craze.
Yep. I guess it's according to how deep you get. But I was just curious what pattern everybody liked. What I was talking to a guy the other day, he had like a 32-inch draw, and he got me thinking, what's like the bow or the couple bows to go to if you got a long draw length? And what me and this guy came up with was the Drive XL from PSE or whatever is it's a decent bow for a okay price. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the route we went with him. But just thinking in general, there's not a ton of bows that go out that long.
There's a Bear that goes out that long, and I can't remember which one it is.
I know the Kuma LD went out a ways.
I think it actually went to 30 or 31.
Okay.
Hoyt's got the double XL.
Yeah, that's true.
That one will go out there a good little bit. I think it's 33. Prime is 31, but that's 31. You run a little over 32. PSC has that one. The Hoyt, I think Bowtech has one.
I don't know the models.
I don't know the model of it.
He made me. I mean, I knew the PSE stuff, so I was like, I need to really research this. But I just thought I'd throw it out there. And then I had another guy ask the other day. He had an old Browning bow, and he's like, "Well, not that old." It was so at the end of Browning making compound bows, PSE made them for them. Mm-hmm. And for a while, we could still get parts through PSE, but I think they're so old now, which would have been early 2000s to maybe mid 2000s. I think they just kind of quit making them all, so pretty much no Browning parts for the most part anymore. They may still have a few laying around, but he asked me that, and I thought I'd bring it up. But anyway, hope y'all are having a great hunting season. If it started for you, I think on the East Coast, most of our stuff is rolling now, and we will be live on Thursday to chat with y'all. And we'll flip back and forth like we used to. We may work on a bow one week. We may just talk to you one week. We may fool with some arrows or a crossbow or do whatever. I really wish we could get outside, but our signal sucks outside, so it probably won't happen. But
yeah.
Anyway, thank y'all for tuning in.
Yep.
Check us out on the live feed, and as we get slower, we'll start putting out our Sunday video again as well. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
But y'all be safe in the woods.
Yep. Always wear your safety gear, safety harnesses.
Yep. And flex your arrows. Make sure you don't have a splintered arrow. Check your nocks, all your normal stuff. Because we don't want to see nobody get hurt. And we'll see y'all here on Thursday.
See y'all.